to the Cinema Gold Show. I am your host, Larry Leese. Today we're diving into the latest box office news and movie news from around the industry. But first, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Poddex, for sponsoring this episode. Poddex are the hottest new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or gamify the podcast. Simply shuffle up, ask a question, let the content roll. Order yours today at poddex.com and use the promo code Larry21 for 10% off your first purchase. And now let's get into our first topic. Marvel's Shang-Chi holds off Malignant for its second weekend box office win. Marvel's latest film, and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, has crossed $250 million globally, bringing a domestic haul of $35.8 million for its second weekend run. As reported by Variety, Shang-Chi saw a 53% decline from its Labor Day opening weekend's earnings of $71.4 million domestically. That decrease was much better than Black Widow's roughly 70% fall in its second weekend. Globally, it has crossed the $250 million mark and has a worldwide total of $257.6 million. Domestically, it earned $145.6 million, making it the fourth highest grossing film of 2021, and inches even closer to Black Widow's $182 million. Malignant was the only new big-name contender for Shang-Chi, but it only managed to earn $5.57 million domestically, which is a far cry from its $40 million budget. However, it is important to note that Marvel's latest film is not available on Disney+, while Malignant is also available to stream on HBO Max at no extra cost. Malignant even failed to beat Free Guy's $5.8 million, placing it at third place for the weekend. Rounding at the top five were Candyman's $4.8 million and Jungle Cruise's $22.4 million. Shang-Chi's success has reportedly caused Disney to make a decision to release Marvel's Eternals exclusively in theaters when it arrives November 5th, 2021. And now, let's move on to topic number 2. Disney has now said that the rest of its 2021 slate of movies will have exclusive theatrical releases. The list includes Eternals, The Last Duel, Encanto, and West Side Story. Remaining movies on Disney's 2021 slate will all be released in theaters exclusively before being released on its Disney Plus streaming platform. Quote, following the tremendous box office success of our summer films, which included 5 of the top 8 domestic releases of the year, we are excited to update our theatrical plans for the remainder of 2021. Kareem Daniel, chairman, Disney Media and Entertainment Distribution, said in a news release, the COVID pandemic and temporary closures of movie theaters that began last spring led studios to delay the release of many of their films, hoping to allow time for the pandemic restrictions to ease and let people return to theaters in large numbers. Warner Brothers raised the ire of many in Hollywood when it announced in December 2020 that its entire 2021 slate would be released simultaneously on HBO Max. Disney's decision follows the successful theater first release of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and Free Guy. Disney released each of these movies with an exclusive 45-day theatrical window. Shang-Chi topped $71.4 million in its Labor Day weekend, like we previously discussed. It's the second biggest opening haul for films released theatrically during the pandemic. Free Guy brought in $28.4 million in its August debut. Both films have since surpassed $100 million at the box office. But Disney is also dealing with the fallout of its decision to release Black Widow in theaters and on Disney Plus streaming for a $30 fee at the same time in July. Scarlett Johansson sued Disney, alleging that the simultaneous release reduced the amount of money the film garnered in theaters. The actress's salary was partly based on Black Widow's box office performance, which meant she stood to lose a significant amount of money. Disney has disputed the merits of the suit. Black Widow brought in $80 million at the box office in its July 9th opening weekend and generated $80 million via Disney+. The release schedule for the remainder of Disney movies in 2021 has the animated musical movie Encanto debuting in theaters November 24th for a 30-day window. The rest of the slate will have a 45-day theatrical release window as follows. The Last Duel, October 15th. Ron's Gone Wrong, October 22nd. Eternals, November 5th. West Side Story, December 10th. The Kingsman, December 22nd. And now, diving into our third and final topic, Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer film follows a man who lived long enough to become the villain. Christopher Nolan is set to make a film on the father of the atomic bomb. Not everyone can die a hero. Christopher Nolan emphasized that point by even taking the mask away from Batman in a Dark Knight trilogy, proving Bruce Wayne knows how to make an entrance and be smart enough to plan an exit strategy. Exit proves vital to other Nolan projects as well, including Dunkirk, a World War II epic highlighting the heroism of the common foot soldier, and the British evacuation of France. Now his next movie will also be set during World War II, but it's about an extraordinary man who never forgave himself for building the weapon that ended the war. J. Robert Oppenheimer. There may be a few historical figures who'd be more readily wear Harvey Dent's line, either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I have become death, the destroyer of worlds, the real Oppenheimer once said in an interview about creating the atomic bomb. Nolan's film will focus on the genius scientist's role in its development. As a young man, Oppenheimer distinguished himself as a student under J.J. Thomson, who had been awarded the 1906 Nobel Prize in Physics for detecting the electron. After the start of World War II, Oppenheimer was invited by the Office of Scientific Research and Development to take over work on neutron calculations at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, also known as Berkeley Lab, which was struggling against the clock to develop an atomic bomb. As the war and development progressed, the scientists needed more space. FDR authorized the formation of the Manhattan Project on December 28, 1942, also known as Project Y. The Manhattan Project was formally established on January 1, 1943. Oppenheimer was appointed scientific director. He directed the construction of the laboratories at Los Alamos and brought together the best minds in physics to solve theoretical and mechanical issues. Over 3,000 people worked on the project, including Albert Einstein, who first presented the military potential of an uncontrolled fission chain reaction to Roosevelt in the summer of 1939. The first nuclear explosion was executed at a site on the Alamogordo Air Base, 120 miles south of Albuquerque, New Mexico, July 16, 1945. Oppenheimer named it Trinity, and it had the explosive power of 20,000 tons of TNT. 1 month later, the bomb was used twice on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. Those nuclear explosions ended the war, but Oppenheimer had mixed feelings. There is, after all, a physics lab named after him at the Ethical Culture Society School, where Oppenheimer enrolled in September 1911. Founded by Dr. Felix Adler as an outgrowth of American Reform Judaism, the society concentrated on social justice, civic responsibility, and secular humanism. The FBI had files on Oppenheimer, including a report of a January or February 1943 meeting where he heard about colleagues who were solicited for nuclear secrets by a Shell Oil employee on behalf of the Soviet Union. Oppenheimer failed to report it until August. The FBI furnished Oppenheimer's files to his enemies, and on November 7th, 1953, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover received a letter from William Borden, former executive director of Congress's Joint Atomic Energy Committee, accusing Oppenheimer of being an agent of the Soviet Union, based on 11 years of minute surveillance. A theoretical physicist's phones were tapped, his office and home were bugged, and his mail was open. Oppenheimer's security clearance was revoked 32 hours before it was set to expire in June 1954. Edward Teller, the father of the hydrogen bomb, dredged up old communist sympathies and testimony to the Oppenheimer security hearing in Washington. Christopher Nolan is a courageous director who has never stopped taking risks, even after achieving mainstream success. A Nolan film is a brand, like a Martin Scorsese movie or a Hitchcock picture. Nolan is an auteur, writing and completely controlling every aspect of his films. From Memento, Inception, he has never stopped challenging audiences, nor has he ever pandered to them. Tenet was released while the pandemic was at its height, and the film still grossed $363 million. Nolan is probably one of the few directors with the guts to make a bomb. The 1989 Manhattan Project drama Fat Man and Little Boy was blasted by critics and ignored by audiences, even with Paul Newman starring in it. Nolan is best telling human stories with strong characters who are troubled by epic challenges and moral conundrums. Oppenheimer challenged and second-guessed his greatest achievements until the day he died. It seems like a natural choice to lend himself to Nolan's recurring series of troubled protagonists. The upcoming biopic has powers to set things right and redefine how history paints the necessary ambivalence of scientists at war. Oppenheimer was called the father of the atom bomb. He should have demanded a paternity test and be known as the founding father of the American School of Theoretical Physics. And now we're moving on to our Poddex segment of Film Night. And today's question, how many streaming services are you currently subscribed to, and how many do you bum off of other people? I have, probably, I can't even think of all of them, probably 6 or 7. And I actually don't bum off of other people for those. I know some people that bum off of me for them. Well, that's all we have for this episode. If you want to support the show, join our Patreon at patreon.com/cinemagold. Also consider buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cinemagold. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.